Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'll give you an introduction to the IDE we are using. This program here. What is an IDE? An IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. In our case, the IDE is called Thonny. So Thonny is this thing here where we write and run programs. So in the previous video, that's what we did, right? We wrote this program, well, we wrote it through ChatGPT, but that's still writing a program. And then we ran that program, we executed the program. So when you say running a program and executing a program is the same thing. So we executed the program using that button. So you can do all that in an IDE in this place here, right? Now I want to give you an introduction to give you a walkthrough on Thonny, the main features, so that you are sure you're using it the correct way. There are three main areas of Thonny. The file explorer here on the left, which you can show or hide using the view files menu. So you can uncheck that and then you can go back to view files to show that again. So that's the file explorer. You see the file explorer always points to a particular folder, right? Currently it's ChatGPT course, in my case, this folder. And then we have the file editor area in here. So when you double click a file, which could be a .py file that contains Python code or a text file, then the content of that file will show here. So make sure not to edit the Python code unless you know what you're doing. And then if you have double-clicked multiple files, for example, this and that, all those files will open here as tabs. So you can click any of them and you can see the content of each file. And then we have the other area, the shell in here. When you run a Python file, for example, we ran this file previously to generate the output, then Thonny sends this text here. So basically think of this shell as the area where you see these notifications about what's going on. So this, for example, means that Thonny just ran your program, so run lecture1.py, and then this line here means Thonny finished running the program and then you're ready to see the output. Now, this type of program created some external files, so some text files. It generated some text files as output, but some programs may generate text. I'll show you an example of that right now. Let's create another program which generates text. This will be a very simple program which you don't have to use ChatGPT to generate that program. You can just write that program right away. So to do that, you need to make sure you are inside the ChatGPT course folder. So click there to go back to ChatGPT course. So this is the same directory where lecture1.py is located. So we want to right click over the empty area and then go to new file. Write a name for this, for example, lecture2, and make sure to have a .py extension, right? And then type in print opening and closing parentheses, and then move the cursor inside the parentheses and write two double quotes. So 1, 2, and inside the double quotes just say hello. And then let's run this file. Let's execute this program to see the output. To execute this program, you can use this button, run current script, or press F5. I showed that to you already, but be careful here. So if you want to execute lecture2.py, then you want to make sure that lecture2.py is the currently opened file in the file editor here, right? Because if you have opened lecture1.py, for example, and you press that button, that will execute lecture1.py and not lecture2.py. So make sure that this file is opened here and then press that button. Now, you don't have to save the file actually, so if you want, you can press Ctrl S to save the code we just wrote, but that's not necessary because when you press that button will first save the file and then it will execute it. So I'll just press that And then you'll see the output here, hello, and then this empty arrows, which means the program finished executing. So that's the output in this case. So in this program there were no files generated, this was just a simple program just to print out hello. So it's completely useless, but I just wanted to make a point that you can also see output sometimes in this area, in the shell. Now this was just hello, but sometimes you may have more useful programs such as calculating miles out of kilometers, so doing conversions, converting from USD to euros and so on. So in such cases you will see the output in here for those programs. So that's how you create multiple files. So always right click here, go to new file, and if you want to create new directories, go to new directory. Always make sure you are aware of where this folder is located. And before we close this video, I want to show you another feature of Thonny. So if you go to view, you'll see we have files and shell already checked. There are some other features which you can check, but you will not actually need these. So these are for more seasoned programmers who actually type in code and they want to understand what's going on in the code. For you, you only want to create programs that work, that automate things. So you don't need this, but there's a cool feature you may need, and that's nodes. So if you check nodes, you'll see this view here. So this nodes here stays here even if you close this. So let's say this is my first node, right? 1, and then I close Thonny, and then tomorrow I work with Thonny again and the nodes will still be there. So that's a section which you can use just to take notes while you're learning. So perhaps you want to organize the notes with like sections, like section 1 of the course getting started. And perhaps you want to say lecture 1 and the things you learned with bullet points. So it's a minimal interface to take notes, but that's actually sometimes a good thing because it keeps you focused on actually writing the code instead of getting lost with features of a note-taking app. Anyway, that's just optional, so feel free to use notes or not. I'll just close it to keep the view here more clean for you, and that was about Thonny. In the next video, I'll show you how to create good queries to ask ChatGPT. So queries about creating Python programs. I'll see you there.